Okay, where are we up to? Should be a relatively quick daf. But we said that yesterday too.
I was going to say something that I'm happy you did.
Yeah. So we're up to the Gemara on Tzadi Zayin on the base. Yeah, so we said in the Mishnah, and it's going to come up a couple more times in the next few dafim. So the Mishnah's case was because the Gemara is going to not totally change the case, but the Gemara is going to adjust the case in the Mishnah. There were three cases in the Mishnah. He lent him for one day and rented him the other day. He lent him for half a day, and he rented for half a day, or he rented him one animal and he lent him another animal. So now it died. But then having a fight on which day did it, meaning did it, if it died when it was shoyel, when it was on the lending day, so then it's
and it's chayiv.
What? It was then he's chayiv on everything.
Right, sure.
For Mesa Machmas V'Loch. If it was on a rental day, then not. So they're having this disagreement. So there were a few variables in the Mishnah. Yes, Zok the Gemara. Or Frekti. Well, Shamas Minah. So we hear from this. That Monali Biyotcha, if a guy said, now again, we're talking about here where it was a rental and a borrowing. But you also can have the same scenario in a loan, right? Meaning a financial loan. Monali Biyotcha. He says, you owe me a money. And the other guy says, I don't know if I owe you or not. Yeah, chayiv. So then he is chayiv. Why? Because this is your classic of bari v'shema. One guy is definite, and the other guy is a shema. We say lema to have a tiyufta to Rav Nachman. So then, if that's the case, then this Mishnah is a kash on Rav Nachman. The itmar monali biyotcha. Because we learned that a case where he says, you owe me 100. And that one says, the other one says, I don't know. So it's a machlokes. Rav Huna Rav Yehuda Amri Chayiv, Rav Nachman Rav Yochanan Amri Potter. Right? So Rav Huna Rav Yehuda say Chayiv. So that makes sense with our Mishnah. Because one is a Bari, one is a Shema. But Rav Nachman, Rav Yochanan, Amri Potter, they say Potter. Now our Mishnah L'chor is a kasha on them, right? Because again, they're saying that you're Potter, and we're saying that you're Chayiv. So Kida Omar. So now the Gemara is going to give a teretz that's going to fit for Rav Nachman, Rav Yochanan, but on Amid Beis of tonight's daf, it's going to switch back to explaining the Mishnah like Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda. The Gemara says, "Gadamar Rav Nachman, you're going to yesh asik shvua beineim," where there's an asik of a shvua between them, meaning there's already an asik means a disagreement of a shvua between them. Hachanami could go and yesh asik shvua beineim. So it's all talking about where there's an asik shvua. Okay, so what does it mean an asik shvua? So the Gemara asks, "Hey, Dami asik shvua. What are you talking about with the asik shvua?" Because the Rava, now we're on to today's daf. Dama Rava, because Rava said, right, Monali biyotcha. It's interesting, just if you look at the Taisus, we got all these long Taisus in, right? But Taisus, the Amar Rava says, Rava never said this. Look at it, you see, I'll just read it. It's a long line Taisus, the Naftali, but it's on the wide lines of Tzadi Ches Amud Aleph. The second, it's really the first Taisus that's on the Tzadi Ches Amud Aleph. It says, Pirush Rabbeinu Chananel, the Divrei Rabba B'hai Lishna Loi Matzinu Ikru B'Gemara. We don't know. We don't. It's not in Shas, even though this is. It's here, right? But miu kabalnu mirabbi seinu the ikra beperakol and shboyin the marava kavaseder of Ava mistaver mitosh ena yochel l'shav misham. We do see that Rava says like it's like Rav Abba, meaning he agrees with Rav Abba. So really sounds like it's really Rav Abba. And since Rava agreed with Rav Abba, so Mamela, we're calling it in the name of Rava. Okay, Dama Rava, we're on the top line of Tzaddik Chesed Morale. Monoli biyodcha, if a guy, lender says, you owe me 100, and the guy says, I agree that I owe you 50. But I don't know about the rest. Right? So now this is a moide b'miktas, but he's not denying the other half. He's saying, I don't know about the other half. Right? If he denied the other half, he could swear, right? Because he's saying, I only owe you half of that. Here, he's saying, I don't know. So the problem is that he can't make a shvuah. How do you make a shvuah that I don't know? So then so, but we say, but because since he can't make a shvuah, because all he said is I don't know, so then Mamela, he has to pay. All right, so that's what we're saying. So now, mishkachas. So now, going with that thought process, so now mishkachas law. So you can have the same case in our Mishnah, and that's why.
So you could make a living like that. Just keep going over to people. You owe me money. You owe me money. You owe me money.
What?
And you keep on going over to people. So you owe me $100. You owe me $100. You owe me $100. You'll find these from guys who will get nervous. They'll say, "Okay, I'll give you $100. Leave me alone."
Toshis talks about that question. We don't say mitoshin in every scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, his case is a little bit different.
Yeah, because when the guys
talking about chassid al shvua, but your case, the guy just say, "Get out of here. I don't know you." Then it'll be fine, no?
Yeah, if he says he doesn't, so then he doesn't. But you're going to find people that won't. They'll say that they don't know, whatever.
I mean, if a guy's going to be honest, because Lamaisa, you're saying you don't know, maybe Taka, right? I mean, I forget enough learning, so I can forget that I borrowed money from a guy too. Right? It's easy to forget that, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's
this is a Maisa that happens every day. They call you up, for this was the story, for that story, whatever, and you say, okay, fine, I'll give you such amount. Send me an envelope, right? Then you forget about it, and then they call you back and you forgot, or you don't know which one you remember, which one you forgot. So, I tell people, those. Out of a Suffolk, I'd pay it, but that's kind of, and I get these mailings. I got 5 or 6 or 7, maybe 10 sometimes mailings every day. Just as we spoke on the telephone, the form letter, and send us your $18, your $180.
I don't know if you could trust. Okay, whatever. We're not going to go down.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's yeah, you can make a living like that, Aaron. Maybe you should. I don't know. It's a modern day problem.
Yeah. So I and a Hanami, they say you could be that somebody could pull scams that way theoretically. Anyways, but here's a little different because here he was minded to half, and he said, I don't know on the rest of it. Right? So mishkachas law. So how do we apply this to our Mishnah? So mishkachas law, reisha bebeis v'seif v'gimel. Right? Meaning we're adding an animal into here. Again, there was 3 cases in the Mishnah. First case was half a day rental, half a day loan. Second case was half a day rental, 1 day loan, alternating. Third case was 2 animals. One was a loan, one was a rental. So now we're just going to add on an animal to each. So Reisha bebeis v'seifim begimel. Reisha bebeis damar le beis paras masatila. The owner said, or the lender, owner, whoever, the rentee, the owner, yeah, says, I gave you 2 paras. Palge de Yom b'Shela. Both of them was for half a day for borrowing, or Palge de Yom b'Schirus, and half a day was rented. Inami chad Yom b'Shela. One day they were both rented. I'm sorry, borrowed. B'chad Yom b'Schirus. And the next day they were both rented. Umesu tavah be'idan she'ela. And the owner is saying they both died during the borrowing hour. Mainly you have to pay. Bamrale shoyel, and the shoyel said back to him, Chada in be'idan she'ela mesa. Yes, I agree that one of the animals died during the borrowing time. Be'idach lo yadayna be'idan she'ela mesa. I don't know whether it died when it was borrowed. I don't know whether it died when it was rented. So I have no idea. So the reason why he has to pay is because he can't make a shvua. So now that fits in based on Rava / Rav Abba. That's what our Mishnah is talking about. It's talking about that specific case. Therefore, our Mishnah is not a kasha on Rav Nachman. Right, because our Mishnah is talking about where there was a partial admittance. Right? The Sefer Begimel, and the Sefer was talking about where there were, again, our Mishnah was talking about where there were two cows. One was rented and one was borrowed. So here he's saying the Sefer was with 3. The owner says, I gave you 3 cows. 2 were borrowed, 1 was rented. And the 2 cows that died were the ones that were borrowed. And the Shoyal says to him, I agree, one of them that died was for sure a borrower. If the one that was borrowed died, with the kind with the schiras, and the one that's alive is the rented one, either schiras mesa, or the rented one died, the kind with the sheilahi, and the one that's alive is sheila. Right? Right. So that's the basic way to add it. That we add on to the Mishnah. That's why it's not a kasher not. Fine. The Gemara continues. According to Rami Bar Chama, who says that Dalit Shoimrim, what?
When somebody says you owe him something, you have to make a shvua that you don't.
What do you say?
When somebody says you owe him something and you don't remember, so you have to make a shvua that you don't?
No. You only make a shvua if you deny.
Uh-huh.
I mean, even in denial, it's not. But if you're a ma'ida b'miktzas, then for sure you have to. Right? If it's him against you, then how do we say it? Right, but then there
So
are.
why are you making a shvua for?
You're not
Because he was maiden part of it.
No, that was bothering me this morning.
So there's no riot that you owe him the rest. What's the riot? You owe him the rest.
If a person denies it, so let him. Why does he have to make the shvua?
He's not denying it here.
What is he doing?
He doesn't know.
I agree with some of it, and some of it I don't know. I have no idea.
So why?
Right. So you have to bring a riot that you owe him the rest of it.
Right. But
the Gemara doesn't say that the guy. The Gemara doesn't say that the first guy came with a riot. He came with a tie, and you owe me $100. Doesn't say he has a riot. He has an IOU, or he has a video of it. He just says you owe me $100. The guy says I owe you $50. No. So where's the riot that he owes it to him?
I'm not following. The Torah says that.
Well, very simple.
Yeshava. The Torah says, the pasuk in the Torah. Someone who's
Well, a minute ago you told me that might speak about a variety. Now you changed your tune.
I'm not sure which case you're going on. If you're Maiden part of it, that's a pasuk in the Torah. If you're not Maiden any of it, I might make a variety.
If you say I don't know.
No,
so the whole thing?
You can't make a shvua if you don't know. That's why he's saying you have to pay because he was made on half.
Why do I have to pay? You want to be mighty money out of me?
Which case? What's the case?
Be careful, yeah, you're not being clear. Both of you guys are saying different cases, and it's very, you're
And you're
different
switching
cases.
them. Was he might in any of it or
That's why
not?
we have different attorneys. We don't have the same attorney.
I say you owe me $100. What's your answer?
Right. I say, yeah, I
What
owe
do
you
you say to
50. I owe you 50, and I don't know if I owe you
Okay,
more than 50.
So that's my mixes. My mixes, the Torah says you have to make a shvua about the rest of it. The problem is when you say I don't know, you can't make a shvua. I don't know if I owe you. That's not a shvua. So
It's
since you can't make a shvua, you have to pay.
Why does he have to pay? Why does the other guy have to swear that he owes him the money?
Because he admitted to half.
He didn't admit to anything.
That's the different case. You're changing the case.
You're changing the case again.
Which case? You gotta know which
Your
case.
first case was you admitted 50, and you said I don't know about the second 50. In that case, there's a case of Maida B'Mixas. In Maida B'Mixas, the Torah says you make a shvua.
Okay,
If you
that I
can't make a
understand.
shvua, you have to pay.
That I
That's for
understand.
nothing.
That I understand. But the case
Now
was
you're saying, I say you owe me $100. You say I don't know about it at all.
right.
That's a case of Bari V'Shema.
So that guy's Bari, this guy's Shema.
Well, what's better?
And
Bari
who's on
Yada.
first? And who's
If
on
he
first?
doesn't have any proof, who cares if he's a buri? Who cares? Prove that I owe you the money. Why? Because you're you wear a nice tie and you're very definite.
That's a
You owe me the
Metzia
money.
Mechaber of a raya. That's Metzia
The
Mechaber
raya.
of a raya.
The Gemara doesn't say he has to bring a raya. Where's the Gemara say that? You said it and Gershon
That's
said
a
it, but I
case
don't
of
see it.
kfira.
It doesn't say
The
it in my
only-
Gemara.
I might to make a very arise when he's kaifer or something. When he denies or whatever, I don't know what the right word is, but when he
No, my
says, I don't owe you anything.
Shvez is asking you, how is the other guy a Bari?
His taina is you owe me $100.
He's
That's a
Taina.
Bari.
What do you mean he's Taina? He comes in, he's a fancy guy, he says, he's saying it with confidence, Bari. Well, prove it.
And you, in most cases, you would say back to him, I'm Bari that I don't owe you a penny.
Right.
In that case, how much to make a very right? You've got nothing to go with. But if you tell him, I don't, maybe I do. Well, why should I bring a raya? You half admitted to it. You don't even know yourself. I know you do. You saying, I don't know, maybe I do. So pay.
And it is a machlokes in the Gemara whether or not Bar Hashem and Bar Edif, but
Well, yeah,
Right.
that's a much. That's a
our
much.
opinion is like you, but
That will be a
seems
Friday
like the
stuff.
China itself is sufficient to be able to be
Right.
might be the moment.
Right. So Friday, Bez Hashem, we're going to get involved in that on Friday's stuff. But anyways, okay. So let's see back. But if we're not confused till now let's do Rami Bar Chama's shita. Okay, Rami Bar Chama holds that in order now there's something called the Shvua Shomrim. See, this till now we're discussing. Well, the Gemara is discussing a loan. Now we're gonna in our Mishnah we're talking about really Shomrim, and the Shomrim have to make a shvua. There's a special din in the Torah that the Shomrim have to make a shvua that they were in Pesheya. But Rami Bar Chama has an interesting shita. He holds you only make the shomer make a shvua if you have three things. He has to be kaifer, meaning he has to deny. Then he has to admit, and then the third is that he admits that maybe he's got to pay, but meaning maybe he was pesheya or whatever it is, but he should be potter. Right? We had this way back. His shita. Right? So it's part of the whole Maidim and Miktas, whatever it is. He holds you need to have three things. So according to Rami Bar Chama, you have to add another animal into the mix. So again, our Mishnah started off with the ratio with one animal, the Seifa, two animals. Then, in order to get around the Kasha and Reb Nachman, we added another animal to the ratio and another animal to the Seifa. So that meant two animals in the ratio, three animals in the Seifa. And now, in order to fit into Rami Bar Chama, we're having three animals in the ratio, four animals in the Seifa. Right? So again,
So that's the only case where his din works? What,
What do you mean?
I'm asking, what do you just said, what do I mean? What do you mean?
I don't know what you're asking me. That's the only case that his works with the
Yeah,
three.
you say you have to add these animals in order to make it didn't work.
To Rabbi
What
Bar
about a normal case where the guy borrowed one animal? The guy didn't buy a whole herd to go to Abilene. He borrowed one animal. No.
According to Rami Bar Chama, he may not be chayiv. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know if this would be the only case. You could also have it with money and utensils and stuff like that. I'm assuming. All right. This is just one.
Yeah, money's the easiest one. Money, you can split $100 three ways. I admit to 30 of it. I deny 30 of it, and the other 40, I have no idea. So you can have three different timers on $100, but one cow, you can't have three different timers.
Right. Correct. Yeah, that would. Yeah. I think we're gonna also have that either tomorrow or Friday's stuff. But anyways, so you're gonna have 3 and 4 animals. Mishkach the Reisha begimel, the Sefer bedalet. Reisha begimel, the Amar lei, gimel paras nasaktilach. The owner says, I gave you 3 paras. Palge the Yoma b'shayla, half a day was lent. Palge the Yoma b'schirus, half a day was rented. I'm sorry, half a day was lent, half a day was rented. Inami chad Yoma b'shayla, 1 day was lent. Chad Yoma b'schirus, 1 day was rented. Umesu gimel kulu be'idan shayla. And the owner is saying, of course, he's saying, they all died during the borrowing time, and you're chayiv to pay. And the borrower says to him, he says he denies the first one. Right? Meaning he says, I never even got a third cow from you. He's denying that he rented a third cow. He says one of them taka, I agree. Right? And the third one, he says, I don't know. So he can't make the shvua because he says he doesn't know. Therefore, Mishalom, he has to pay. That's how you fit that case into Rami Bar Chama. And the last case, Seifa, Dalit, the Seifa is talking about 4. The Amar le Dalit paras nesatilo. I gave you 4 paras. The owner says, I gave you 4 paras. Gimel b'shela, Chada b'schiras. 3 were lent to you, 1 was rented to you. Umesu hanach gimel b'shela. And the 3 of the Shayla died. Right? And he says back to him, Shayl, and Shayl says, we're on top of base now. Chada loy hadam, meaning loy hayu dvarim ha'olam. Right? 1, I never, it's not true. Chada in the Shayla Mesa. Yes, the Shayla died. Idach loy yadayna ida schiras Mesa, or the kaima of the Shayla. I don't know if the rented one died and what's around is Shayla, or the Shayla Mesa, or the kaima, the schiras. And the schiras is kaima. Because he's not able to swear, so then Mishalim, he has to pay. So that's the way we would fit it according to Rami Bar Chama. I don't think I'm thinking why. I don't know if I should ask the kind of, why did he say only 3 paras died? Why not 4?
Because you need one of a suffix. If all of them died, then definitely 1 was Stirus and 2 were Shayla.
All right. So for the previous cases also, only 2 died. Right. You
Yeah.
can't have all 4 died. Right. Thank you. Fine. Then the Gemara says, Ze oimer she'ulav, ze oimer schura. So then here, each one is confident. Right? So the lender / owner says that it was on the borrowed time, and the borrower says it was on the rented time. So what do you have to do? The soicher has to swear, and then he's potter. So I'm going to ask, why should he swear? Right? This is what Rabban and Zev were talking about before. I mean, he said that the owner said it was during the borrowed time, and he denies it. So why is he making a shvua for? Why is it any different than a guy comes over to me and says, you owe me money, and I say, no, I don't. So why I don't have to make a shvua then? So why is he making a shvua here? Right? It's interesting because Mashahoida loy Tana is extra according to the Gra. That Aleph over there goes to the Gra. The Gra says it's what it has nothing to do with anything here. He's not being moided to anything. He's not moided to anything. Right? Okay, but that's what the Gra takes that out. Tamar Ula, how you take Gilgal? So the Ula says, yes, the only reason why you're making a shvua, meaning you're really correct. You shouldn't have to make a shvua, but there's a Gilgal shvua, meaning a Gilgal shvua is that he has a different, Gilgal literally means to roll, right? He has a different reason that he has to make a shvua, and then once he has to make a shvua on that, we roll over this shvua and put it into there. Damar lei, because he tells him, Ishtabali ezamias the kidarka mesa. He says, swear to me that at least it died, I would say died peacefully. I would say, but it died kedarka in a regular way. Right? That's yeah. So he needs to swear about that. And since he's already making a shvua that it died kedarka, so he also makes a shvua that it's that the one that rented died. Right? Now, how come he? I mean, that's a shvua shaimrim. I guess that's a shvua shaimrim that he's putting on it.
Yeah, that's what it's adding on to. There is already a shvua shaimrim. He's adding on to that the shvua that makes the
happened during the series. Okay, weiter. But if they both say they don't know, so then they split it. Who's that? So Hamali. Sumchasi, that's going according to Sumchas, the Amar Maman Amot Besofik, Chalkin. Goes like Sumchas who hold that money that was Besofik, you split. Fine. Now the Gemara has a bunch of shilas. So boy, Rav Abba Bar Mamel. Sheila B'Bailim. So again, going back to Sheila B'Bailim, which is again, when you borrow something or you rent something and you're employing the owner at the same time, then the pasuk says it's Xeris HaKosav, I don't know Xeris HaKosav, but it's a learn from the pasuk that the shomer is potter from everything. So Sheila B'Bailim, Sachra Shalei B'Bailim. So he borrowed it with the Bailim, meaning it's a regular standard loan while he was employing the lender, meaning the boss of the business went over to one of his employees. I'm sorry, the employee went over to the boss. How did it go? I don't know why I always have a hard time explaining it this way. Meaning the guy borrowed something from his worker. That's it. He borrowed a cow from his worker. So then let's say he borrowed it for a week, and then he starts bringing it back, and then the worker says, "I'm sorry, I can't lend it to you anymore. I got to rent it to you." So he says, "Okay, we'll start a new rental from now." That's again, he rented it, he borrowed it for as a mushal. He borrowed it for a week, and then the borrowing turned into a rental. But he was no longer employed. After that rental, he was no longer employed. He said, "You know what? You don't want to lend it to me, so I'm quitting." So he was no longer employed, but so then he rented it. So now the sheila happened with Bailam, Sachra Shalei Bailam, but the rental happened without Bailam. Mahu, what's the din? What are the sides of the sheila? Mi amrina and sheila luchuda kaimo, schirus luchuda kaimo. Do we say that the sheila is separate and the rental is separate, meaning one has nothing to do with the other, and therefore the shomer is chayiv because it was not the schirus was not b'bailim. Or you could say schirus b'sheila meishach shaychi, or can you say that the schirus has a shaychus to the sheila, the hamachayiv b'gneva v'aveda, meaning he was chayiv in gneva v'aveda the entire time, even though the terms change from a loan to a rental, because a loan you're chayiv on everything, and then for a rental you're only chayiv on half the things, but still. Gneva Aveda is something that you've been chayiv throughout. So maybe as you look at it, even though again the first term was a borrowing and the second term was a rental, but since straight through there was a liability for Gneva Aveda, maybe it's considered one long rental, and it started off when the owner was there. So the owner was being employed. So therefore he would be put. Fine.
Didn't we already answer this?
Oh, so Tosis says that.
with the marriage case.
Right, so Tosis asks that. Right.
It only answers according to one of them. According to the first pshat there, the marriage makes it a she'ela, so she'ela can knock out skiras because einsim are new. But according to the second way of learning, that it's still a skiras, the second skiras knocks out the first skiras, and that's exactly the same.
Right, so that's if you look in the what's the Tosis? Tosis she'ela b'bailam. Tosis says it's exeris lakosov. Anyways, okay, so that's Shala number one. Shala number two, imtim tzalaymar, if you're going to say schira b'shela meisha shaychi, schira is with shela is shayach, sochra b'bailim, so that is the opposite. He rented the animal b'bailim, and then shela shalei b'bailim. Then, after the rental term was over, he then borrowed it. So Mao, then what's the din? Shela b'schirus vadel shaychi. From borrowing to schirus, from borrowing to schirus, that for sure has no shaykhs, because shayla first you're chayiv, right? Because how does it go? Right, the shay, meaning the shay, when you borrow. That's so. Then he was the only thing you're going to be high. The only thing you're going to be potter for is mesa machmas malacha, right? And then when you go into schirus, so it's a whole new thing that you're going to be potter for. You're not nearly as responsible as the things before.
Isn't it the other way around? You're saying she'ela and then schirus, or schirus and then she'ela?
No, you're right. I mixed up the first case and the second case. I'm sorry. The first case was it started off with Shela, and then it went to Schirus. Here it's Schirus, and then went into Shela. So we're saying that Schirus, right, is he was potter from quite a few things. Only thing he was chayav was Gneva Veda, and now he became a shoyel, so now he became chayav on everything. There's no continuation there. That's a new responsibility, so it's not connected. Dilma, even the shaykha b'miktzas, or we say no, since there is a little bit of shaykhus, right? Because lamaisa, he was always chayiv on Geneva and Aveda, and he's still chayiv in Aveda. Command the shaykha b'kula dami. So therefore, we just say it just broadened, right? Okay, that's second shaila. Third shaila, imtim tzalaymar. Now there's a whole girsa issue whether you go to imtim tzalaymar or not. But imtim tzalaymar loyam rinan. Kivan the shaykha b'miktas command the shaykha b'kula dami, that we don't say that since it has a little bit of shaykhus, it's like the whole thing, and therefore he would be chayev because it's not shela b'vailim, but let's say he borrowed it with the bailim, but sochra shaloi b'vailim, and he rented it without bailim, v'chazar v'shala ma'od. So again, he borrowed, he rented, then he went back to borrowing. So do we say hada asi l'shela l'duchta? Does the shayla go back to its original place? Or do we say no? The schirus interrupted the two shaylas, and there's no connection between the two shaylas, and therefore the original borrowing was done with the bailim, and the subsequent ones were not, and therefore he is pot. He's chayav.
Well, what's the lumdus? Why? If it was interrupted by schir in the middle, it should be one thing. She'ela, schiris, back she'ela. Right? What's the lumdus to understand why it was the she'ela has different dinim than schiris?
No, but there's a miktsas. There's a miktsas shaykhus. He was always chayiv for Geneva v'Aveda throughout the whole thing. From Mamela, that stayed steady throughout the entire thing. Mm-hmm. I think so. Then he says the shayla is the other way around. He rented it b'bailim b'shala, and then he borrowed b'chazar b'sachra. Then he went and he rented again. Mao, what's the din? Do we say same shaila, just the opposite? Does the schiras go back to its place? And then Mamela, since he was the original schiras was bebailim, so even though Shayla interrupted, but he's still back to the original. He's back to schiras, so maybe they connect. Even though, meaning they jumped, they just erased the Shayla part of Dima, Apsakala Shayla Baini Baini. Or do we say that Shayla splits it up? So we say Teku. Right? So that's a Teku. Now this again, there's a whole Girsa issue. Bottom line is with Teku. So then there's a whole mahalach of how the Rambam learns with Intin Salaimars, that Intin Salaimar means to be a psak like the first, and it means we do paskin that way. Okay, that's a whole tumult. I heard something today from somebody, from Chaim Cohen. They said, like, normally in Yeridea or Arachayim, so you have suffix lahakal. If you're the Rabbanans, you could be Mekel, right? But in Choshen Mishpat, there's no such thing as being Mekel, being Machmer, because you're being Mekel for one, you're being Machmer for the other. It's not the same as any other, right? It's not the same as other dinim, right? You can say, oh, we're gonna go Lakula because it's the Rabbanan and it's a Teku, so how do we paskin? Right? No, it's not, you can't, right? The shaila is, how do you paskin when there's a Teku? I don't know. Teku on that. All right. Okay, let's see the Mishnah. Yeah, it's an interesting Mishnah. So Shayla Sapara, we had reference to this before. Shayla Sapara, guy borrows a para, the Shulchala, and he sent it to him, meaning he was home delivery, sort of like what Gershon was asking last night with delivering the warmer, for the Simcha and Shabbos. So at what point does the loan kick in? Meaning there's delivery, you have those rental car places that say, we'll come pick you up or we'll bring you your car, right? And then an accident happens. So then under whose responsibility is the car when it's being delivered? So Shayla is a part of a shulchala. This guy borrows a para and they send it to him. Biyad benoi, biyad abde, biyad shlucha, meaning the owner sent it to him with his son, his slave, or his shliach. Biyad benoi, biyad abde, biyad shlucha shayl, or even if he sent it with the shayel's people, umesa, and the cow died, meaning mesa machon zulacha, pater is pater, because the Gemara is assuming that the loan doesn't take place until the shayel takes possession of it. Right? Amar loy hashayel, but if the lender says to the borrower, shulchali biyad bani, biyad avdi, biyad shluchi, I'm sorry, the shayel, the borrower says to the lender, send it to me with my son, my eved, or my shliach, oy biyad bincha, biyad avdecha, biyad shluchacha, that's meaning. So the shayel asked for the delivery. Or the mashal says, says, I'm sending to you biyad bani, biyad avdi, biyad shluchi, biyad bincha, biyad avdecha, biyad shluchacha, v'amar hashayel shalach, and the shayel says, send it, meaning he agrees to this, v'shilch, and he sends it, umesa, and then the animal dies, chayev, he is chayev. Why? Because since he agreed to this agreement of delivery, so therefore he becomes in his possession the second it hits whoever is his shliach to get the car.
Right? If I send somebody to pick up a warmer for the caterer for Shabbos, and I come and I send my son to pick up the warmer from the caterer to bring to my house, and then I plug it in, I'm chayav to pay if it doesn't work.
It depends what the deal was. It depends when the.
You're telling me if I send the person there, I'm sending my son, so I'm automatic. The minute it leaves Chapanash's warehouse, so I'm a chayiv.
Yes.
So I'm chayiv if I send my son to pick up the warmer and it doesn't work, and then I return it. He can tie it to me. You have to fix it.
Well, that's a different story because it never worked.
So what am I chayiv for? When am I chayiv?
Only if something of Mesa Machos Malacha, there was a legitimate loan.
No, that's you pater for.
You pater, yeah. If it's not Mesa Machos Malacha, you're chayiv. You're chayiv in all insim, no?
Yeah, but the difference is we had the Svara before. The Svara the Gemara brought was that I borrowed it to use. If you gave me something that can't be used, I'm not high for that.
If he kindness to me, well, it was good when I left the warehouse.
He's gonna have to prove it.
Why is he gonna have to prove it? I picked it up. I send the shliach.
The next time you send your son,
Your
have your
time
son
it
check
is.
it out before he takes it.
So that's my shaila. Does my son have to check it before it leaves the Chapanesh warehouse?
Okay, that's a different story. If he's smart, he does that. Right? If he's smart, he's smart.
And even if it breaks while you're using it, then it's probably Mesa Nachas Melacha. I mean, you
Right.
This is my B'chol Yom.
use it. Yeah, probably Hamatzah B'chol Avariah. He wants to prove to you that something happened.
No, but his kasha really is who's the mitzi.
Yeah, okay, but that's okay, but that's your standard shaila. So okay, but either way, so then it's chayav. Yeah. Let's just finish the mission. The last 3 lines. Same thing with the opposite. When the shoyl is giving back the animal, so then the same halacha, but just in reverse. If the shoyl sends it back with his kid without asking the mashal, and then something happens on the way back, so then he's going to be chayiv. The mashal is not going to be chayiv. And the opposite, and then, but if he tells the mashal or the mashal tells him, send it with your kid, then that kid becomes his representative. Right? And then he's going to be chayiv. Right? Anyways, okay, stop over there. Say it till him.